Okie dokie artichokes. Bam, we're here. I think I might need to turn down the music. It's looking a little loud. Okay. So, it says undead are known by many names, such as the Awoken, the Hollow, or the Empty Ones. Very fitting, considering I'm a ghostie. Okay. Maybe this sounds okay. Okay, let's go with that. All right. So this is Road Warden, which I don't really know much about this. I kind of just got it on a whim, funnily enough. But I know it's text-based. It's an RPG. You're a road warden. That's about it. That's all I know. But on this long journey, I have my banana milk to keep me company. That was the banana milk. Anyways. Let's get started. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Road wardens not only accept the struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, and, if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen. They live on the road, die young, or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one, and it pays well. I leave the safety of the city walls, or I still have my doubts. No doubts. Brain empty. It's like a Windows screensaver in here. I leave the safety of the city walls. Oh. Oh lord, pick a difficulty mode. This choice can't be altered later on. Casual for those focused on the story. For those familiar with RPGs, 40-day time limit. Well, I'm not returning. Let's just do standard. Brains off, let's go. The wall is still standing. There are no wolves around, no stench of blood. Good signs. This should be the place you're looking for. You were supposed to meet with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar, but the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and peddlers, but not beastful nor trolls. And the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had a long day. It's a peddler. I could just look for another shelter. I need to look around cautiously. I dismount and sneak to the gate. Let's peek inside. I get off the horse and enter the camp briskly. Let's look around cautiously. Considering the noise, you doubt that anyone noticed the clatter of hooves. The short, dry grasses barely cover the arid soil of this valley, but you're maybe a minute away from the edge of the sparse woods, which get denser as they climb up the hills. At best, this trail has a few more years before getting overgrown for good. Hard to believe it's the only route north. I could just look for another shelter. I dismount and sneak to the gate. Let's peek inside. I get off the horse and enter the camp briskly. Let's peek inside. Oh no. take care of yourself. If you're hurt or exhausted, some actions won't be available to you. The weaker you are, the higher the chance you'll die in combat. Well, we don't want that. Being soft and squishy. Your heavy boots hit the ground and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch out, bringing your back and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your axe won't be needed here. I approach the gate slowly. Oh, look how cute. Very small. If it's a military camp, it doesn't look the part. Plenty of wasted space. The fire pit is cold. 2 people are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They're looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. After a moment, you notice the quiet humming. You recognize the melody of a light-hearted drinking song from the city harbor. Yeah, they don't look like much of a threat. It takes them a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes. His beard is messy. Despite his simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace, with a head covered in iron, hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. Woo! Friendly! I take a look at the second soul. Just like you, she's wearing a gambeson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took it off a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Her eyes are weary yet kind. She smiles. Considering the squad was sent here half a year ago, these 2 surely look the part, though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. I let them speak first. I ask them about their lieutenant. I don't know what I'm doing here. I let them speak first. It's nice to see an unharmed traveler in this godforsaken shithole. It makes me just a tiny bit hopeful. The bearded man's voice is strong yet timid. You'll be staying the night with us, I guess. We're soldiers, he and I, adds the armored woman. Her voice switches from half asleep to relaxed. We'll do our best to keep the camp safe, but if you were to take the first watch, it would be a huge help. Travelers ought to help each other, wouldn't you say? You think for a moment. To fully rest, you need a good sleep. I mean, I'm the one who's been on the road here. They've been in camp. I'm exhausted. The man looks away. If you say so, though better keep your axe nearby. The nights here can get spooky. I'd say sinister, the other soldier snorts. I ask them about their lieutenant. You wonder how to phrase your question. Whenever you meet new people, you can influence how they perceive you by selecting one of the attitudes. Friendly, playful, distance, intimidating, vulnerable. Let's just be friendly. I was hoping to meet with your lieutenant. Could we talk for a bit? What is it? Ah. I'm sure you're busy, so if you could just introduce me to your lieutenant. How was that a joke or witty? I'm looking for your lieutenant. I'd rather speak with someone who's not going to waste my time. Ooh. I had a long journey. I need to have a word with your lieutenant. Let's be friendly. The woman lets out a loud sigh, dusts off her gambeson, and steps towards you. She pays little attention to the sword at her side. We most definitely can, you and I, though holding this rank is still somewhat new to me. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? She observes you with curiosity. Or are you looking for help? I'm your new road warden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The soldier in the shirt leads forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. Better bring your beast here, adds the lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet it dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. I shake her hand. I'm blah blah blah. It may be a trap. I gesture for her to stop, pretending to be embarrassed. I should wash myself first, but you can call me. I shake her hand. I'm... How do you want people to call you? Marcy. I'm Marcy. That's me. Her grasp is confident. The shake is slight. Just keep your horse away from the tents. She steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. Ah, there's this one issue. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. We've no tent to spare. You'll have to use a blanket or something. No problem. I enjoy observing the stars. You walk through the gate. Your mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans can ride a horse. It's not only taller than you, but also bulky, as heavy as it is strong. You can get in the saddle within a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side it's a wall of flesh. Horses were brought to the Dragonwoods from the conquest in the south. They can trot for a long time, but will not run some of the local monsters. They have palfrey and easy to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. It's my only companion here. I want it to feel at ease. I don't care how it feels, but I need it to be strong if I want to travel, and I can't afford another one. No, this is my horse. It's my only companion here. It takes a few steps towards you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of its neck, with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals, and even pets, as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom. But you know that horses need companionship. I speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit. Removing the saddle makes the horse nicker with relief. You take a couple of minutes to examine its back just in case. While the riding equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal, with enough time it starts to chafe. You wish it had something better to eat than this shabby grass. You should look for an inn. I need to unpack. Oh my gosh. You haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. Whew. Worst of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. Shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. Aside from the travel set, you own a few valuable possessions essential for your trade. Fighter. I spent my savings on decent combat equipment. I have a fine gambeson, an axe made of steel, and a reliable crossbow with quarrels. Mage. I have talismans that help me use my powers, as well as an iron axe and a worn gambeson. Scholar. I carry writing instruments and alchemical ingredients, as well as an iron axe, a worn gambeson, and a small healing potion. I want to learn more about the 3 classes. Let's see. Ooh, this is a lot of... Whoa! As a fighter, you'll have an easier equipment and physical easier time in physical challenges thanks to your superior equipment and hidden bonuses during dice rolls. You'll be physically more capable than the other classes, what opens unique opportunities during some social interactions. It's the best class for RPG beginners. The fighter's weakness is their reliance on physical strength. Your special abilities won't be available to you if your vitality points drop to 0. The mage uses Pneuma, a versatile but limited pool of energy points that can be spent to cast a few humble spells. Magic won't protect you better than a sharp axe, but as a mage you'll be able to heal faster while resting, detect magic in a mysterious area, distract a beast with a simple trick, and find a common tongue with other magic users. Using the mage's powers too freely will result in having no Pneuma left when you need it most. The scholar will know more about the world's mysteries than you, helping you take advantage of some unusual situations. Your character will impress the locals with its knowledge, and you'll be able to read the sparse, written clues without anyone's assistance. Scholars struggle with combat more than the other classes, but with enough carefulness and exploration, you'll gain access to alchemical mixtures that will help you escape from many dangerous situations. I'm gonna be... let's be a mage. Marcy the mage. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced. The sparse clothes are still here. Just in case, you take a look at your wooden bowl and mug, your cape, tinderbox, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. Okay, let's look at the inventory. Whoa, food, coins, my clothes, my amulets, my travel set, and an axe. Taking hits will damage your armor. You can then fix it in various settlements. Okay. I return to the soldiers. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them eating out of wooden bowls. One more bowl was put at a previously unused end of the table. You can sit down on a tree log. I join them and take a look at the meal. I thank them for the meal, but I don't want to eat with them. I sit down and ask Tulia what she can tell me about the area, or I completely ignore the meal. I sit down and speak to Tulia. Yeah, let's eat with them. These are my buddies. It's cold gruel, the meal eaten in times of hardship. This specific bowl is filled with water, hog millet, some strange-looking cereals, and blueberries. Welcoming you with a meal, even a humble one, is beyond their duty. Soldiers live with and for their companions, constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship, and camaraderie. Road wardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. They help the settlement stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. When there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. I eat quickly, not focusing on the taste, and then speak with Tulia. Food. Nourishment. She's focused and chooses her words carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. I'm afraid I can tell you less than I would like to and less than I should. She nods towards the other soldier. As you can see, there's not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead, 1 has run away in tears. We're also strangers in this land, adds her companion. Any piece of information may help me do my job. The man leans forward. His legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story, tell a joke, or do a magic trick. Whatever it takes to escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What did the officials tell you? I expect not that much. No soul governs these lands. I share what I consider to be relevant. What I've discussed with the officials should stay between me and them. I mean, these are my buddies. I don't see a reason not to share. I share what I consider to be relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you received. Since this area is too far away from Havloven to keep it under control, you are warned that it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits, or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Did they turn into walking corpses, or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me, so I was looking for your guidance. Whoa! That's a lot of questions. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. Where should we start? What should I... Any ideas what happened to the previous road warden? Tulia takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him for almost half a year. The soldiers speak for a bit between themselves, trying to get their story straight. They confirm that he had stopped by their camp a few times, but stopped showing up at all in early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tip of his knife without looking at you. I don't remember his voice, always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen his sword, fix his loud mail, clean clothes, write notes on that wax tablet of his. Yep, and leave at dawn. Unlike us, Asteria never gets bored. Tulia lets out a joyless chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just doesn't like us. I can't believe there's another Asterian in this world. Jeez Louise. Can't escape that guy. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. Alright. Banana milk saved me. I need nourish meat. Pick up my little straw. Yeah. Open. Open. Open, 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 open. Okay. And 1, 2, 3. Stabbed. Okay. And I need to drink some water. Okay. Banana milk, banana milk. Ooh, banana. Alright. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone is keeping him in a basement. The man carves with passion. We haven't seen him, or his Saurian. Something ate them, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't expect him to return. Richer road wardens often use four-legged, meat-eating saurians as their mounts. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable, and won't suddenly sink its teeth into an innocent passerby. I'm imagining a dinosaur right now. I don't know if that's what they're... Oh, but they're four-legged. Well, it could still be a dinosaur. You know, maybe. Maybe. Do you know what he was looking for? Maybe he left you a message. Neither one of us had any insight into his dealings, says Tulia. My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Asterian stuff. Wait, she raises her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids in a village near Hovleven. I was planning to take all his things there. A pouch, a second spear, a decent bow, some potions. Quite a treasure. She glances at you. But I would much prefer to bring them the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's the catch. She dusts off the hilt of her sword. We've hired a messenger to ask the commanders for further orders. Since she hasn't returned and you know nothing about her, she either ran away or something happened to her. She sighs with resignation. We are meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us, tell us what you've learned about the man, and we'll get back to Hovleven together. You think about your real mission. You're planning to return to Hovleven in the early fall anyway. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about me taking away all of his possessions. A journal. Oh, thank goodness. I was worried I was going to have to remember all that. Oh, because that turns out it's not going to happen. Banana. Banana, banana. True, but he's considered dead. I doubt he begrudge you anything. And who knows, you may just find his shell lying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears mail, uses a spear mostly. Maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair, pale face, rarely smiles. She glances at her companion, but after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So find out what happened to him. Dead, alive, left, just let me know. What should I know about the peninsula? I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey, I guess it'd be 3-4 days. When you confirm, she continues. From here, you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make any stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. The sea route allows Hovleven officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools. Maintaining order on a wild coast such as this one is like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from the shore, and boats can't get much closer. She nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore, and they don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to camp, but when we travel to the roadside inn, Pelt of the North, they're happy to trade, and to play dice. Why not just stay at one of the settlements? Whoa. The man clears his throat. I mean, you know, we're to guard this road, this camp is our post. And, well, he turns toward Tulia. She lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way, Marcy, but are you a devout soul? Like most city folk, I believe that people should unite their strength to overcome the threats of nature and dark magic. Everyone will be judged for both good and evil deeds. I'm a part of the United Church. For many years, I've supported a monastery that does its best to advance mankind's spiritual growth, artistry, herbalism, and magical research. I follow the teachings of an order of truth. I'm from a small village. For me, the freedom of shell, pneuma, and soul are the main virtues of life. My community is unique and independent, and so are its members. I have a place in my fellowship. I have a strong connection to nature and spirits and follow the path of my ancestors. Some of my beliefs may be considered sinister and treacherous by the city folk. You'd probably call me a pagan. There's no evidence of the right's existence, and all the mystical tales are explained by magic. No, I'm not. Let's see. I think Marcy's country folk. But should she be a small villager? Should she be a pagan? Let's be a small villager. I have a place in my fellowship. Oh, I see. She hesitantly looks away. I don't know much about that river of faith, but I'm sure we're not that different. I'm a Unite myself, she says with a sort of pride in her voice. So she follows the United Church. Maybe just explain what you were thinking of. Maybe just explain what you're thinking of. The people here are disquieting. Every few words she taps the table with her finger. Their traditions won't help them negotiate with the officials. Here. She starts to draw lines with her index finger as if she's pointing at an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village at a bog. It's not exactly pagan, I don't think. It even has a priest who claims to be an eremite like yourself. They do crazy shit, her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. Once I saw it, I begged to never return there. I know all about that. I've been playing Graveyard Keeper. Oh, banana milk. I'm really thinking about going back to the store and buying another banana milk for lunch. Do I need to? Probably not. But I sure am thinking about it. Okay. I see. You've heard tales such as this one since you were a child. If an isolated settlement manages to survive without a city's influence, its customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with, and the rustic pagan traditions muddy the river of faith. The United Church often warns its members about the crazy druids, necromancers, and blood mages, the bringers of doom, the traitors to humankind. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? And how about the East? Any monster worth mentioning? Anything that could catch my mount? That's all I need to know. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? You can see why we were not eager to go there if we could avoid it, the lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'll be more welcoming to a road warden. The roads are dangerous, little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. If you're heading to the undead village, you'll get to an inn first, and soon. Tulia nods. Hell to the north is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeeper of the guards and ask them about the road. And how about the east? She stares off across the camp. Hard to tell, we went there only once. There are hills, forest rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. Any monster worth mentioning? We saw all sorts of beasts. The man starts to count on his fingers. Goblins, tree ants, cats large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spike boars, mouflon eaters, griffins, but we managed to stay away. Some could catch up with most mounts. Tulia glances at her companion. Though a palfrey should be fine. The trees are so tall that the flying creatures keep to the coast or mountains. There's not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting among themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast. Just count on luck. That's all I need to know. She nods. I'm afraid we can't do more for you. What happened to your squad? The man shrugs. Bandits happened, and monsters. A strong band, though, his companion chips in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw some people living in this camp. The lieutenant decided to avoid it and look for an inn. We had to travel through the night for a bit. The bearded soldier scoffs and crosses his arms, but she carries on. If he had decided otherwise, we would have all died that day. The innkeeper explained that the camp is a trap, and the armed ones pretend to be soldiers. Stay there at night, lose everything you have. Sounds like slave hunters. Tulia sighs. Very much so. They killed some and took others away. Who knows where. They were letting the northerners go, hoping to avoid their wrath. It kind of worked, adds the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate, it's not like the lieutenant didn't make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp, but we didn't know our enemy well enough. We were outnumbered, and they had an ice mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road. Saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well? Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who survived the skirmish were young. Too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good healer, and they didn't trust me. One of them got caught by a treant. Another one ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt, so a werebore tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, didn't tell us that he had a cut on his hand, that he had cut his hand while cleaning his gambeson. She lets out a ghastly chuckle. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed that he decided to walk north, find a new life, and disappear. Idiot. What a colorful journey. The man tries to drink from his mug, but it's empty. You made this place safer. Barely. Tulia seems tired, and who knows if it was worth the lives and effort. What was your squad's mission? The lieutenant looks into your eyes. You know, the usual. Making the road safe, keeping people alive. I explained that it may be important for me to know what they have tried to accomplish. I can't really tell you. You sense no hesitation. Do you have any other questions? How did you become a lieutenant? That's not much of a story, honestly. She looks at her hand, which is currently rolling a mug over the table. In the city, there's a strict order of... what should I call it? She exchanges looks with her companion, but he can't help her. Well, leadership succession, I guess. Hobgoblin Chief selects commanders. Those select lieutenants, and those put their soldiers in order of priority. If a lieutenant dies, they get replaced by the next soldier in line. So you were his successor? Nah, not exactly. When we fought the bandits, our lieutenant was hit by a slingshot. His boyfriend jumped to help him, but failed to protect either of them from a spell. It was like a ball of ice that hung above them and exploded, piercing their heads, completely avoiding their shield. Really unpleasant. She pauses. And you were the third one in line, is that right? Jumping like that to save a man in the middle of an attack? Doesn't sound like a wise decision. Let's see. And you were the third one in line, is that right? Basically, yeah, she says without enthusiasm. I didn't plan to become a leader, though. I'll get demoted once we return to the city. I prefer to follow anyway. Anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built the camp to have an extra stop for mules and donkeys, just between the inn and the southern villages. There's plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. When the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned from time to time, serving as a shelter for travelers. The bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here whenever you want, the man concludes their tale. Though don't expect to wake up without pain in your back. If you were me, where would you go next? The soldier answers quickly. To the inn, of course. He grabs his empty mug, the one northwest from here. If you can't afford the room, the main hall is free of charge. The locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentions Tulia. But the hunters will tell you about this and that, and you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. Gamekeeper can listen and knows many souls. Any tips on how I can make a good first impression on him? She smirks. Avoid cheap jokes, stick to trade, don't waste his time. Show him that you can be relied on. I've lost my rope. Can you spare one? You're in luck. She heads toward one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. She brings it back and nonchalantly sits down on her chair. Take it. I was planning to leave it behind. I take a closer look. Ooh, a fine rope. A regular rope made of hemp fibers. Oh, I guess I could have traded for it. Oh well. I didn't think that one through. Tulia nods. For now, you leave the rope on the table. It's getting late. We should prepare for the night. I agree. Tulia sighs with relief. And may you do better than Asterion did. Stay vigilant. She winks at you, shattering the mask of a soldier. Thanks for your help. You go to the barrel and splash water on your face, which makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After the night, it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, still too anxious to lay down. I look for a place protected from wind. I use my bag as a pillow, put my blanket on the ground, and cover myself with my cloak. You aren't used to sleeping in such harsh conditions, but it's better than nothing. The weather is gentle. Maybe you won't catch a cold. The stars instantly inspire your dreams, both with their splendor and by making you look for patterns and shapes among them. Your job starts tomorrow. I focus on the real goal of my journey. The Merchant Guild wants to take control of this realm. Your wardening duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula. Learn about the territory resources and threats. Get to know the locals, and if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Hobgoblin officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery, or slavery? At least I have time, 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Appearance. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Tulia and return to Hobgoblin. There you'll report back to your employers and get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goal to pursue. Oh wow. I need to gather some extra coins so I can save my sibling from debt collectors. I need to gather some extra coins so I can retire early and live in prosperity and safety. If I gather enough connections among the local leaders, I'll use them to become a major player in the Merchant Guild. I want to be remembered as the soul who brought peace and order to this realm, a hero. I just want to help people, make this region safer for the locals and the newcomers alike. I need to find a new life for myself. I have a difficult past and I want it to be forgotten. See, I think Mercy just wants to help people. She's just a helpful kind of lady. Banana milk, banana milk. Oh, banana milk. I just want to help people. New entry. Help others. Your half-asleep senses are catching the sounds of the wild forest. Your instincts keep you alert and anxious, though the pleasant humid late summer air evens out slowly. You're thinking about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. All I can do now is rest. Slip. Sleeping on the ground. Your blanket won't be much of a bed, and the palisade barely covers you from the wind. Sleeping here will be severely uncomfortable. Ooh, minus heart. Minus food, minus appearance, but I get plus sleep, I guess? Sleep. Oh, this is so pretty. Look at the moon. Moon time. Whew. You take a look at your amulets. For most people, they would be nothing more than trash, but you wouldn't sell them for a pouch of dragon bones. You use them to shape Numa to your will. With these little mementos, the few spells you're familiar with are far more reliable. Who knows? Maybe there's already some power held in them. You look at the old, though clean bandages that remember dozens of herbal balms and wounds. You can put them on your hurting muscles, bruises, and scratches, then hum an old song about time, which either heals all wounds or kills us too soon to let us bother with our problems. After a few hours or so, the linen will warm up, confirming it did its job. Maybe it will even out the pain of sleeping on the ground, though you'll lose some of your energy. Okay, so I'll lose Numa. Oh, this is Numa, okay. I'll lose Numa. I'm gonna say my Numa is more valuable. Because I don't know what's gonna come up next. And I'm just going to the end, so I should be able to sleep somewhere, I would guess. You're surrounded by sunlight. Your back begs you to stand up. I know that feeling all too well. Oh, I'm crying. Speaking of which, I should turn on my little heater. Anyways. Okay. Anyways. You're surrounded by sunlight, your back begs you to stand up. Before you fully wake up, you smell a roast. No, burning meat. Burning, rotten meat. Disgust crawls toward your consciousness. You stand up. Normally you would dust off your cape and blanket, but your instincts are stronger than your routine. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. I go outside to see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at it contemplatively. Tulia is the first one to address you. Marcy, she greets you with a nod. We use the horse's manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flames. It's impossible to tell if it belongs to a male or a female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. A traveler or an undead? The latter, a young one. She lacked the pneuma to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours and each moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Soldiers, priests, village mayors, even road wardens. Making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Tulia calls us undead a she. Most Unites hesitate to do so. Time for me to leave. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She looks again at the fire. Find us here if you learn what happened to Asterion. We leave once the fall comes, if not sooner. Safe travels. The words make you stop. An old farewell, mocked in a number of songs and tales, but yet you hear no scorn in Tulia's voice. She observes the fire with one hand on her hip, the other one on her chin. I prepare myself for the journey. You gather your equipment and spend half an hour warming up and preparing your mount, double-checking the buckled straps. You put on your gambeson and make sure that your axe is tightly attached to your belt. Then get in the saddle. The palfrey knickers, ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads, north from here. Alright, let's go north. Travel forward to continue your journey. Once you're done with the north, speak with Tulia to return to Hollowwood. Tulia's camp. A military outpost surrounded by a wooden wall set in the middle of the valley. You're currently here. Alright, let's travel north. Banana. Oh, banana. Even at a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles, coming from further down the path. You soon find the pack of four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes and merge the features of birds and furred beasts. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. Their fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. About 24 beasts are yelling, brawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. I consider my options. You can't enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase after you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons why travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible and why adventurers move in groups. Usually the safest approach would be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up to a couple of hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Tulia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. If you have enough pneuma, you can cast spells to access unique interactions. I take my axe and hurry the horse. If you ride fast enough, we should be fine. I should stay here. Better safe than sorry. Can I look at the spells? Do I have to cast one? Can I just look? I grab an amulet and shape a missile of light. A harmless flare will frighten them off. Let's use a spell. You can learn more about your abilities in the character sheet. Oh, my shoulders are so tense. Oh gosh. Okay. You grab one of your oldest amulets, a pendant made of leather and a single dim pearl. The little sphere is covered by cryptic engravings, but if there's any special meaning behind them, you were never able to find out what it could be. Holding the pearl between your fingers, you feel the pleasant, familiar warmth. The spell you're about to cast is not much more than a mere illusion, but you take a couple of breaths, trying to minimize any risk of failure. The pneuma leaves your shell, forming into a white ball that you barely comprehend. When it falls next to the griffins, for a couple of blinks it emits dazzling light. The animals squeak and snarl, fleeing in multiple directions at once. The road is now clear. I ride forward and enjoy the touch of my pendant. It cools down slowly. We've done it! We've crossed the first obstacle. Keep track of your achievements as your journey unfolds. Oh, my name is Marcy. I used to be a mage. How cute. This is so cute. What if I click on it? Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Character? Oh, and it stores it here. From a small village. Sewing experience none. Gambling experience none. Okay. My inventory. Map. Okay, so I'll be in my journal. Notes are shared across all your saves. Interesting. Wow, that's a lot of beasts. A lot of beastlies. Beasties. Okay. Let's continue. The road splits. According to what the soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest to the right is lush, and the trail overgrown. Kids used to have the song. How did it go? The harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure. Do you truly dare? The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put here by someone who can't write, for folks who can't read. Covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say, danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. Ooh, I look at my horse. What's its name? Peanut. What do I call it? Banana. Whoop. Can't spell. Banana. Milk. Oh, milk. Nah, this is Peanut. Peanut. Oh, Peanut. Peanut died. Tragedy. Poor old Peanut. Anyways. Peanut is peaceful as you strike its mane. Maybe it can't help you choose a path, but you spent many years together. Happy to go on, it takes a couple steps forward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. Time to make a turn. Oh no. Did they tell me anything? Tulia? Tulia? Well, if east is danger, then let's go west. Ah, okay. Peanut trots with ease, unbothered by the few branches covering the beaten road. The bird songs and distant howls draw your attention to the forest, which gets sparser and brighter. You spot boars, roe deer, and saurians. The sight of nearby wolf pack worries you, but once you push your hips forward and your palfrey enters a canter, the beasts don't even begin a pursuit. The speed alone will protect you from many dangers. You notice a stone tower taller than the trees. It must be the inn I've heard about. How cute! Inns like this one fit the regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide, if not in the buildings, then at least in the yard. The expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet, right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gambesons. Each one of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen gray. I approach the gate. A woman in yellow armor leans forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all. In the woods, one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh? Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Hoffhaven. But no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with the male guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says there really are donkey saddles. Say, traveler, how hard is it to ride a horse? Friendly. How about you give it a try? I laugh. You wouldn't believe it. The lessons are a pain. It's easy to learn the basics, but it's tiring. You train different muscles than those for combat. I don't answer. It's an inn, isn't it? Open the gate. Quite hard, honestly. Some days are still rough on me. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it. The lessons are a pain. You get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that followed your first long journey, when your whole show was crying. You illustrate the pain as you move your hand from your back to hips, then thighs. In return, the guard tells you about the time when they had to carry their friend with bitten off legs for 3 days straight to the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood. The woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you. But don't get so noisy when you talk to our boss. The man never smiles. He has the world's suffering sculpted on his face. She leads you under the roof under which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post near some old hay. Once you're ready, go inside, speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry? The other guards take care of various chores. peeked around every now and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. I open the door. If you're at an inn in the morning, you can spend the entire day on resting. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I have a keg of decent ale, wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot. He fills the mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon, today maybe, and we don't drink here before the even. I hate to see all the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. I stand at the counter. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear that the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt of the north doesn't belong to Hobgoblin. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a better meal, you have to pay. We may have some leftovers from dinner, but I need to check. Renly, thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with the Road Warden. Happy to help. As a Road Warden, I'm more than capable of taking care of the entire cask if you need me to. I won't stay here for long. I introduce myself. I'm not here to pay compliments to piss in a mug. I'm a Road Warden and I'm looking for answers. Thank you, I'm a Road Warden, so I'd never refuse a free drink. For Renly. He meets your eyes with a puzzled look, and then grabs a wet cloth and starts to wipe down the shelves. From time to time, your conversation is interrupted by splashes of dirty water in a wooden bucket. While nothing is truly free, I have to work for a soul of the road, but I don't need a new mouth to babble. He speaks slowly yet audibly. I value my time, you should value yours. I drink the ale. The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as a chestnut. The lee in spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know why there's so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with the worrying thought I have. Which is? There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt they're the reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around, and I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Thais, the mayor, about Glaucia, the bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia's ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon boat. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? I nod. Great, what else do you need? I could eat something. Do you have any leftovers? Yes, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait, then leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full, you'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway, and I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It's a long, curved claw, almost black. I reach for the tools. Half an hour? That's quite a lot for berry picking. The tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. The berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes, better scare them away with a stick or move them with a hook, and protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Fine, I'll go right away. You step outside. Peanut is fighting off flies with its tail. You hear the clinking of tools coming from the armorer's workshop. Let's just go forage for berries for now. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even as some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They are round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. I gather the berries and go back to the inn. You return to the courtyard. 2 of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. I enter the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lines up the hall. Several guards are eating gruel and talking with the innkeeper at the stove. So, you again. Need anything? I put his fruits on the counter. Great! He peeks inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Thanks. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. I give him the hook. I'm fine. He takes the tools from you and nods. Need anything else? I'm looking for Asteria, the previous road warden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so. When asked about his intentions, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins, my half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I'll make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be that Asterion stole the coins and ran away? He looks out a window and starts to play with a shutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk saying he had earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a road warden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs, then enter them. You may get there before dusk. I'm kind of wondering if I should write this down. Or will it be in the journal? Hold on. So let me know once you find anything and we may return to this whole investment thing. Humans, Asterion. Groups of places. Humans. make a note of this just in case. Okay. White marshes. Northwest main road through bogs. I'll think about it. He nods. What else do you need? What can you tell me about the peninsula? What could anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name, unless there's an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I call everything from here to the coast? The hunting ground. He glances at your eyes. But it's not us who hunt, keep that in heart, but the beasts in all shapes and forms. His words gains confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for over 10 years now, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It's just, once you get here and you see how harsh it is to hit the road, you have only more reasons to stay at the warm stove, behind a wall, even if it's suffocating. He looks toward the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, that the people don't build hamlets anymore. There are no more ibexes from the south, and the traders stay for only a few days. All of our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. What will I find traveling west? Well, there are hills nearby, and you'll find a village maybe an hour from here. It was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago, nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it. And they say it's haunted, but who knows, who cares? He crosses his arms and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. You'll get to a large tree on the edge of the swamp. For the locals, it's sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mention pagans as if there's nothing unusual about them. There's a small path south, which leads to an old mine in the mountains, nothing to find there. But keep riding north and you'll find Howler's Dells set at a clean brook. Farmers live there, and mouflons and druids. They'll let you stay for a night, but they're not cheap. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means they ain't been to Ape Ale Inn yet. He lets out a gentle smile. They smile politely. I know only a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in their quarry and help other settlements build things in exchange for crops. The forests and hills ain't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby in the mountains. I don't care much about them. They keep to themselves and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. White Marshes, set at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. So 3 villages really. Howlers, the one near the monastery, whatever it's called, and Marshes. Don't let their beds and palisades fool you though. Weird people live there. Don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell other travelers as well. Are the eastern roads as rough as I've heard? Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here you'll find an old dolmen. A few of my people had to spend a night there, and the monkeys stole food and gods from their bag. Gods? What's a god? It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of his watch, but you know, the eastern forests are wild. The roads are rough. Almost no soul lives there. One day all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east. You'll recognize the place. It's a nice home in a lonely meadow surrounded by a wall. He looks toward the closed window, then at you again. Kind of like our walls, but simpler, without coding. She lives as a hermit, Eudocia. I don't even know how she survives there, but if you don't have decent coin, you won't find much. So, back to the crossroads. If you turn left instead, you'll see a road. People stay away from it. It connects the tower and the monastery, a shortcut between the two sides of the peninsula. I was warned by the locals not to use it. It already belongs to the beasts. Have you ever been to the northern coast? I only know about another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot, a bit less from the eastern side. His eyes once again focus on the floor. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place, close to villages of fishers and hunters, though I don't know much about them. That's all I need. I didn't expect to find an inn of this size in a place such as this. Oh Lord, this is a lot of talking. Banana milk, so yummy. Oh, banana. I really might go to the store and buy another one tomorrow for lunch. Banana, banana. Ah, so you know a thing or two after all. His mocking tone is soon replaced by a gentle smile. It was built long before we arrived. It didn't work out well for the previous owners. Once the war ended, they left. Not enough travelers, bad trade. The villagers stick to themselves. We, however, came prepared, and now we're prospering. When you ask him how they can afford all the supplies, he runs his fingers through his dark hair. I'm not against running an inn, but we don't rely on guests. We're the ones doing all the trading. My hunters are a clever bunch and stay safe in the forest. In exchange for furs, claws, and bones, we get what we need and more, both from the south and the north. He relaxes in his chair. We have a good life here. We spend a whole lot on armor, crossbows, lumber, spears, but in another 10, maybe 20 years, we'll have enough savings to move to Hovleven and not work for another day of our lives. We take risks, but smartly. The team is stronger than ever, and I have big plans for us. It's surprising to find a purple-skinned man so far in the north. Is there a good story behind the inn's name? I ain't seen a soul looking like this since my ma died. He shrugs. It's not a fascinating tale. Let's just say I wasn't a part of the invasion, yet I'm glad it freed all those who were chained by the cities and their corsairs. He looks at the wall. I'm Jason, by the way, but I rarely hear the name. Is there a good story behind the inn's name? I mean, there's a story, but not a good one. He clears his throat. For years, I wanted to have an inn called Pelt, but in my city it would be in bad taste. Taverns and inns named with a single word were cheap and had a nasty reputation. There was the Claw, and Mugger, Basilisk, and Blissful, I think. The good places used at least 2 words: empty barrel, a rose in a helmet, Empress's smile. Pighead was the exception. It was a real dive. He chuckles. In my soul, it's still just a pelt. Pelts are what we came here for and will make us reach our goals. And return to my other questions. Any rumors we're sharing? He crosses his arms. I don't like to talk about people who ain't nearby. Show me first that you're someone worth changing habit for. About Glaucus's band. He freezes, observing your hand silently. He wants me to get the answer from the mayor of Hallersdale. I'm on it. What do you have for sale? I can go and pick up a few things for you. Some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage. Not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyer was caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot, just as nice for a wall. An almost untouched bowl of soap, priceless for a traveler. You can't tell if he's being sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash. Strong, though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mentioned you'd like something more useful on the roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quarrels, a yew bow, wool cords, and the trigger needs just a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. Let me take a look at what you have. How much money do I have? 5? 3 filling meals won't spoil anytime soon. A high class fur, a valuable commodity, a crossbow, floral soap. I've got 2 rations. I'll buy 1. About 3. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's all I need. I go outside. You step outside. Peanut is enjoying some old hay. You hear the clinking of tools coming from the armorer's workshop. I approach the guards. The woman in yellow armor is kneeling next to a brown, hairy boar, which is resting outside. The beast is not as large as the dark one from the forest. It responds to the touch of the human's hand and brushed with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of a hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the wall, and you have no doubts that its charge will leave Peanut dead in a breath. When the woman notices you, she steps forward to the boar's disappointment. So, the new road warden? She points at a window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we can use some assistance. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time on her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. The boar runs up to her, observing her boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She pats his back but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time and can talk a bit about this and that. Maybe you'll get a couple of coins, or lose one. She winks. We could play dice or throw axes at a target. Sure, let's play some dice. Your arrival, and especially the dragon boat you pull out, are cheerfully welcomed. 2 of the guards bring a table from the inn, another one prepares a couple of stools and chairs. There are also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are either sleeping or have duty on the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious. The game is new to you, but in no way baffling. 4 people can play at once. The wooden dice are long with only 4 dotted faces. Every time someone wins a round, they get a point, and the person with the most points at the end of the game wins all the coins. As you play, you don't feel like you have much control over the results. Blend in with the group. You share casual jokes, memories, and views on luck and optimal strategies. Peanut and Tullia's camp are also brought up, but when you ask about the roads or the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It's a poor beer made from the leftovers after the regular brewing. It's cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head, but you try to avoid the smell. Just don't spill anything. The boar may get sick, says your bald opponent. In just a few minutes, you get 2 points, which are now represented by smooth pebbles. You don't really know how you got them. Either you don't get the strategy or it's just pure luck. Let's see how lucky I am. Money. During the final round, you get ahead of everyone, and the spectators playfully comment on your moves. The winner takes all. 3 dragons are placed on the table, and you put them into your pouch quickly. The table and chairs are moved back to the building, and the guard in yellow armor thanks you for playing. Is there anything you need? Tell me about yourself. Oh, what was that? After a brief giggle, her voice gets cold and serious. Nah, Road Warden. We use names and stories among friends. You ain't one. Don't make me tempt curses. Have you ever been at the heart of the woods? We sometimes hunt south from there. There are good hunting grounds in the western half. The second one is too overgrown. Maybe the soil is different? She shrugs, the moves the hair away from her forehead. But it's a risky spot. There are treants there, and wolves, even the furless ones. And if you have to go through the tall grasses, watch out for what's on the ground. There ain't many archers in the trees. She smiles if it's a joke. There are all too many worms, even larger than a water leech. I was foraging for berries for the innkeep. She chuckles. So I've heard. Don't worry about it. Usually we forage by ourselves, but he wouldn't ask you for a dragon for a meal. He gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. He wants to judge who's of use and who's too proud for their own good. I have some questions about the place. Not much to tell, honestly. There are many beasts around, both wild game and dangerous monsters. We spend our time surrounded by these walls, leaving only to hunt, forage, or trade. That's an unusual tower. I'd expect it to be closer to the gate, and shorter. Like in Hoffman? Fair, but it ain't here to protect the gate. This stronghold was built long before we moved in, and not to fight off humans. The tower was meant to be used by those who observe the deep forest. We look out for fires, dragons, and any winged creatures that are looking to roost on the roof. Baldy, she nods towards a man who indeed is completely bald, has a great eye and sees well even in darkness. Any interesting creatures living nearby? Ha! Here? Everything lives here. She flips her hair. I swear, we saw a few dragons, a unicorn family, a battle between trolls and goblins, faced 2 beastmen, oh, and a gargoyle, and a hunting queen shouts all the time. I could tell you all about them, but I won't. She winks and pats the boar on its head. You know, hunters have their secrets. Your group seems to be quite attached to this boar. How could you not be? She crouches and raises the boar's head, but it steps away and squeals as if someone's murdering it. It came with us from the city, just in case. We had no clue how our first winter would go, so we needed some backup meat. And it works too, cleans the dirt. She reaches out to the beast again, but it trots away. The woman straightens up with a pleased sigh. We haven't needed to eat it so far, but it's also funny. I learned in my home village that the farm boars are getting a bit smaller and more cuddly, kind of like ibexes, so it's not such a wild, dangerous beast. But we don't let it get too close to other animals. Or children. What do you usually hunt for? Anything we can eat or sell. If there's a partridge, a squirrel, or a rat, we don't complain. But when we move as a group, we look for something larger. Deers and aurochs are delicious, but we don't always look for taste alone. There's value in bones, antlers, claws, tusks. Things people use to make tools or sculptures. We use some of them to make tools and spears. You can never have enough spears. She pauses and looks at a strand of her hair, then suddenly speaks up again. And we look for furs, of course. What can I find north from here? I'm sorry, we don't really go to those regions. We stay close to home, only sometimes move south or west, Howler's Dell, but only to trade. They're fine with buying more than they need, since they then take wares to the coast. She takes a long breath, twirling her hair and gathering her thoughts. You know what? I've never even seen a beach, and I've been living here for how many? More than 10 years now. She giggles. The only part of the sea I've seen was from Old Pagos, which is placed on a hill. I've never put a toe in salt water. She looks toward another huntress who confirms that her experience is the same. But Old Pagos is a good place. As long as you don't mock their order and act nice, they'll also be kind. Boss says they're too serious for him to stand them, but at least they don't bite without a reason. Have you heard anything about the necromancers? It's something new. Her voice lowers to a whisper. I've never been to White Marshes, but over the years we've seen people moving away from there, south. They told us that the place has changed too much. A priest died, I think, and the new one awakens the dead. Sorry, Road Warden, that's all I know. If she's hiding something, she sounds convincing. Thanks. She observes you with a hand casually resting on her hip. Looking for knowledge about wild creatures? Well, I told you our knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at the boar, which seems to be obsessed with a clump of grass growing next to the wall. 15 dragons, no less. Ooh, never mind. I walk away. See, I head to the armorer. Ooh, this is a lot of talking. A lot of talking. Banana milk saved me indeed. maybe I will just finish up the inn, get a little nappy time, and then I'll call it a day. My name is Marcy. I used to be a mage. Ooh, okay. My throat is getting sore. And I'm getting sleepy. Okay. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pinchers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are two people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. Greetings. The man raises his head, but it's the boy who speaks, focused on his task. He ain't talking. Tell him what it is that you need. The man smiles in confirmation, looks at the piece of garment in his hands, then looks around, shrugs, and returns to you with a raised eyebrow. Could you patch my clothes if they were torn? He shakes his head and points at the uneven seams on his own tunic, then grabs a crude bone needle and shows you its broken head. He wouldn't even if he had the tools, says the boy, but you can try in Howler's Dell or Gale Rocks. I look at the youngster, learning the trade, I see. Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see? There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. You said safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. I'm in need of your services. He nods, points at the laces in front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them, as if he's taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. He pulls out one dragon bone, shrugs, and then another one, and waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what sounds like, I don't know. I consider his offer. In 1 hour, your jacket will be carefully patched up. Sure, that's probably a good idea. Your jacket is as good as this armor can make it. Okay. I leave the shed. And I go to the well. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. You need at least one piece of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. Oh, let's go to the inn. Show me your wares. I'll buy a soup. Let's go back. Let's go back outside. Let's go to the well. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. I'll wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. I step away. Vitality, nourishment, armor, appearance, Nima. sleep? Maybe I shouldn't sleep here. Maybe I should continue on. Okay. Quick save. Let's see. Ah, okay. I was wondering how I could tell what time it was. 9 hours and 30 minutes before dusk. Oh, I probably shouldn't sleep then. I should probably continue on. Okay, let's go one to the left. The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. I keep an eye out for any sign of life. Ah, here's the ruined village. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. I approach the building near the field, I take a closer look at the gate, I move forward. Let's look at the building. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. I don't want to go in. Let's just move forward. I explore the southwest part of the village. I inspect the fields in the southwest. I inspect the pasture in the southeast. I return to the southern gate. Fields to the southwest. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field? Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. I don't have a way to investigate. So I went to the pasture. I returned to the barren fields. Oh wait, no, I went to the barren fields. I inspect the pasture in the southeast. You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. I return to the main road. I inspect the palisade in the west. The tracks of human footwear and many more ape footprints cover the path formed in the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. You feel a slight aching in your stomach. Where do you want to go? The palisade is in good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of used force must have been huge, but you'd expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Move forward. I inspect the clearing in the west. The meadow is lush and colorful and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes you lead Peanut with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of a hoof falling into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They are most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down, and used by the locals, though cutting so many trees at once. That alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. I leave the clearing. Let's see. Let's do the southwest. Oh, this is a lot of stuff. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling or a large wolf, larger than the gray ones. Or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it on my saddle. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. Where do you want to go? I explored the southeast part of the village. You find a small backyard. The ground is beaten, the grass grows only right next to the buildings. It would have been a fair spot for training dancers and fighters. The stakes of the palisade are covered with playful carvings left by children who are portraying monsters, weapons, and humans. The rubble has been pushed into the corners of the houses. The furniture is broken, but you find something of use in one of the piles, a slightly rusty piece of steel. Once you pull it out, you realize it's a quarrel for a crossbow, still usable. It won't be difficult to find a use for it. The closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Peanut, worried by the sight, pokes your head with its nose. Ooh. I walk far away from the walls. I have to remain strong. I push through the illness. Let's push through the illness for now. Oh. Oh, because I puked. After another few steps, you return your last meal. You spend a minute or so lean forward, gathering your breath, and wipe your mouth. You feel better. I straighten up. Where do you want to go? I want to go back to the fields, and I want to use... I use my amulet to sense if there's Numa buried in this place. You unpack the wind spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots, marking their positions by sticking a branch in the soil. All you can do now is wait, so you brush Peanut for a bit and make sure the saddle doesn't bother it. When you return to gather your amulets, all of them are much warmer than your skin. The entire field is corrupted, though seeing how there are already some plants growing from it, the spell is fading away. The curse is most likely as old as the last harvest. I walk away. I need these amulets to cool off. I go to the main square. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travelers. Yet this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Havlefin, and the paved ground took a lot of work and materials. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of an expensive coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs also had to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the three smaller buildings, the rotting remains of their former splendor. The birds living in dozens of nests respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or a piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirt, animal droppings, and garbage. The well also stinks. It has no bucket, but you'd be afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly you hear some sounds coming from the largest building. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. Oh, I should walk away. Okay, I feel like I should leave this for now. I go to the road leading north from the village. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow filled with crickets and rodents. I take a closer look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the plank stuck to the ground. I go somewhere else. I want to look around the northern gate. Paths here have almost been reclaimed by grasses. To your east and west you see shadowy alleys behind damaged buildings. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest impenetrable for a rider. I turn back. Consider washing myself in the river. I washed myself once. The kelp forest reaches to the water's surface. Surrounded by little creatures and the smell of river plants, you crouch by the bank and draw handfuls of water. I put on my clothes. Okay, let's just continue on the road from here, because I think I need to heal before I continue on any of that. You enter the wetlands with their many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between the gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger, with teeth and claws, is hidden below the water surface. I stay away from the banks. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now? Or was there a point in time, centuries ago, when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Peanut is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. I smile and scratch the bottom of its neck. Go ahead. I'll look around for just a moment. You don't see any creatures nor humans. I approach the altar. There's clumped dirt in the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rain. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. I look into the water. You step cautiously. Without knowing how deep it gets, you have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. Take a closer look at the roots. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. I do something with it. Oh. What do you try to do? Use your keyboard to name actions that you're interested in. Eat. That's probably a bad idea. Touch? Didn't I already touch it? The root is moist, soft, and weirdly warm. Talk. Talk to it. Either you can't do that or I don't understand you. Okay. This is so dumb. Eat. The scent of decaying water is now especially repellent. You bite into the warm root and start chewing it, but with no results. It's flexible and stretchy, and you can't hurt it with something so blunt. What if I cut it? You pull out your knife and stop in place. You can't tell what the results of wounding the tree would be. Ooh. No, 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 no. I better spare it. Okay. Oh, where do I go at the crossroads? I don't remember. Maybe left? The shapes of mountains are cutting through the horizon. The water gets gradually less muddy. The cleaner it gets, the more animals you see. A family of deer blocks the road, resting and enjoying the cold water, which would be deadly for a human stomach. You consider riding around them through the sparse meadow, but your presence also causes them disquiet. Without much haste, they regroup and run east into the leafy forest. Hold on. Does it say... Now, where was White Marshes? I wrote that down. Northwest, main road through the bogs. I feel like I might have gone the wrong way. I travel forward. You've reached Hag Hills, the wall of stones that has blocked the city's grasp. The one well-established route through them leads through the valley where you found Tulia's camp. There are no maps of the highlands nor local tribes, only stories. The beaten path leads you by the garden beds of herbs and vegetables to an old, not yet abandoned mine, hidden behind a massive door made of steel. I look around, there's no hitching rail for a mount. A bearded, skinny elder sits on a bench, observing you like a sculpture with his legs crossed and fingers interlocked in his abdomen. Oh, this is the mining town. Friendly. Good day to you. Don't worry about my horse, I'll keep it away from your garden. Let's just be friendly. Only worms, too stupid to understand me, would eat what's mine. You dismount and mention that your palfrey is no worm, but the man reprimands you with a thick accent. Let me see you whilst you speak. I can't hear without magic, but I'll read your lips. He doesn't yell, but his voice reminds you of a combat instructor from the city. His face is wrinkled, but he sits straight, with beard and hair still carrying glimpses of fair blonde. He's tan like a worker, and his eyes are blue and piercing, as if they belonged to an infant. You're nae from here, and I will nae welcome a stranger in this refuge. Say what you're looking for and be gone. I explain who I am. What do you call him? Example, old man. Grandpa. I mean, I feel like Sir is the safest option. Let's just go with Sir. He steers off across the garden beds, forcing you to wait in silence. The elder is tall, with long hair and a beard that was let loose in a long time ago. His sandals are covered in dust, and you spot dirt on his clothes and skin. The woolen tunic and linen were made with care, decorated with colorful threads at the collar and sleeves. Now all the blues and greens have faded, and the fabric is held together by patches and stitches. His hands are still folded, the voice remains firm. You do nae know our customs. Your name, your trade, your calling mean naething to the forest. I do nae know what you expected to find here, but this is nae a place for strangers. I wait for him to look at me. Ooh, that scared me a little bit. The man stands up and approaches your palfrey. Without touching it, he observes its eyes, mane, stomach, and rear. Peanut ignores this examination. My nose was right then. Asterion is dead, as are his plans. Such is the fate of all dreamers. He turns towards you with a grim look. Are you going to look for him? You nod. Why? If he's vanished into the fogs, there's nae point in putting yourself in danger. What do you expect to find? You may need my help. Do you believe that? That a man with no power over animals can disappear in the wilderness and survive for that long? He lets out a chilling laugh. I bow to your optimism. He doesn't actually bow. If what you say is honest, you and I could share our paths one day. Defending those who cannot help themselves is something that makes me whole. He takes a deep breath and smiles. You have some questions for me. I nod. His voice is cold and confident. So what do you need? Okay. This is a lot of dialogue. A lot of dialogue. And my throat is having a time of it. So, I think we're gonna switch over. And I'm going to say good night. It was a fun first day of Road Warden. I think it'll be a lot of fun playing it in the future. But for now, me and my banana milk say farewell. Surely Marcy, the former mage, will be able to to find the former Road Warden and bring peace to the lands. Surely we can do that. Surely. Oh, banana milk. I love you. Okay. Good night, everyone. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Woohoo!